In today's Take a Day, I want to talk about Reggie Jackson, the Los Angeles Clippers. And I want to give my analysis on his season so far and what can we expect from him going forward. Now, before we get into that, though, please like, subscribe, also hit the notification bell just so you get the newest and the bonus content first. We put out content every day, so you won't miss any content here. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. So I look at Reggie Jackson. And so far this season, he's shooting about 40% from the field, which isn't bad. And he's averaging about 18 points a game, which is, really good for Reggie Jackson. And this is the time, or should I say this is the only time in his career I think he's taken this many shots per game. I think he's taken around 15 to 20 shots per game on average, and that's probably the most he's ever put up in his career, on average per game basis, maybe besides when he was in Detroit, something like that. But this is a really, big season for Reggie Jackson, because there's a lot expected of him to be not a great player, but a player that can help hold down the fort until their greatest player comes back, and Kawhi Leonard hold down the fort with Paul George and make this operation work, at least until Kawhi can find a way back to help them get over the hump and be a contender and make a run for a championship. Now, you look at Reggie Jackson last year in the playoffs. I think he shocked a lot of people, and I think he put a lot of people on notice about how good he can be and what his game brings to a team and what he could bring to a team in regards to how he can help a team be effective in regards to winning. Because, a lot of people thought last year and the year before Marcus Morris would be the third leading scorer or the third best player on the Clippers. And last year, it's shown to be Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson literally took that role, took that spotlight away from Marcus Morris. And now that he has, I feel like he's trying to, I feel like he's playing, to his best ability, and he doesn't want to give that spotlight back. And, Marcus Morris, shout out to him. He's coming back. He came back already. He looked a little mobile. He looked more mobile the game against the Mavericks I saw the other night. He looking more like, he trying to get his legs back under him, which is a good thing. But if Reggie keeps ascending, then it's going to be hard for Marcus Morris to stay on the floor and or stay on the team, because if Marcus Morris doesn't become more consistent, they're probably going to not keep Marcus Morris, which is one thing I talked about in yesterday's video. Because what will be the point if he's inconsistent and he doesn't he shows up sometime from some games to some games, and he's not the consistent player they thought he would be on both ends of the floor. Will be the point of bringing him back after next season? That's maybe what the Clippers might be thinking. And it wouldn't surprise me if they let him go if he doesn't find a way to be more consistent on both ends of the floor, which that's what the Clippers are paying him to do. But as far as Reggie Jackson, so far early this season, I think he's been playing fairly well. I definitely think that he's played maybe not to the potential I thought that he would. I thought maybe he'd be averaging 21 points a game, somewhere in there, which he's 18. That's pretty close. Can't knock him for that. But 40% shooting is good. But if he could shoot somewhere around 44% from the field or a little bit better, I think the Clippers have a lot better chance of becoming or making the playoffs. Whether or not Kawhi Leonard comes back early enough to help them make a run. But I think they'll be solidified in the playoff spot if they can get 43 to 45% shooting from Reggie Jackson, and maybe a little bit higher from Paul George, of course, since I think that he's very inconsistent when it comes to efficiency and shooting, which I think that's going to hurt the Clippers in a lot of big games, this year. Paul George doesn't show up and then Reggie doesn't show up and shoot efficiently, they're going to lose against all the good teams, and they're going to beat all the trash teams. And then they're going to find themselves losing to some trash teams the way they did last week against the Pelicans, earlier in the season against Cleveland. So, it's just one of those things where, everybody is playing pretty well, but they definitely can improve some and step it up a notch. And that's exactly what's going to have to happen. But as far as Reggie Jackson, I think so far what he's shown is that he's going to be a hell of a number 3 best option for them when Kawhi Leonard comes back. And just like he was last year in the playoffs, he's showing that same thing to me, which is a very, very good positive sign, for the Clippers. They just need everybody healthy. And hopefully, like I said, health comes, to the rescue for this team, because honestly, the last couple of years, we've been deprived of seeing how good they could be as a team and as a unit, and how they will work together and gel together on the floor if everybody's 100% healthy and everybody's ready to, make a run and push for the playoffs and, be a contender that we know that they can be, so it's I definitely want to see this team healthy. I definitely want to see how they all look together with Serge Ibaka, Marcus Morris, of course, the big dog, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Reggie Jackson. I really think their whole team is really, really together, and they're really, really, chemistry based. And I feel like if they all can find a way on the court and stay on the court together with no hiccups or mishaps, I think this team can go really far and do a lot of big things. And I think somebody like Reggie Jackson, if he keeps ascending during the season, and playing to the level that, a lot of people know that he can, well, I think the Clippers might be a really, really huge challenge to the Warriors if they're 100% healthy, because everybody's picking the Warriors to just walk through the West simply because, they're 16-2, which arguably so, they're definitely the best team in the NBA right now. So you have to give them that credit. But I say if the Clippers can stay healthy and Reggie can keep playing the way he's playing, Paul plays the way he plays, and if Kawhi can come back how he was, I think the Warriors might have a fight on their hands. Even though they're getting Klay Thompson back, I still think they got a fight on their hands, because honestly, if the Warriors had to play the Clippers in a 7-game series, the best player on the floor is on the Clippers. And that's just no doubt about it, because Stephen Curry can shoot and all that, but like I said, he can't play defense. And one thing that Kawhi Leonard does better than his offense at times is his defense. So, and he's proven that throughout his career. And, when you can play both sides of the floor, you're looked at as one of the best players in the league. You're not looked at as only just a great player in the league. And that's the difference between Kawhi and Steph when they're healthy. So I definitely think, that would be a great matchup, but that's, futuristic. We have to see if it gets that far. But hopefully, like I said, Reggie, I'm glad of what he's been doing this season so far. And hopefully he continues it, and hopefully he continues to ascend more, because they're going to need more out of him even still going forward. But they're going to have to find a way to be more effective against the good teams. But overall, I've been impressed with Reggie Jackson for the most part. He's had some mishaps, some games where his shot selection wasn't the greatest, but at the same time, most nights he's pretty much coming there with his head on, and he's trying to be the best player he can be. And, he steps up and he does make big shots. And I do think he's the Clippers closer. In the fourth quarter, I feel like he could just make those big threes when necessary, because he's done it last year in the playoffs. He's done it some this year in some games. And I just expect him to do that going forward and continue to ascend going forward as well. So hopefully we'll see more from Reggie Jackson as far as his numbers go up a little bit more. But I mean, that's going to come with time and more games played and more repetition. And I think everything will be fine. I think he'll pan out and have a good season. And hopefully he can carry it into the playoffs. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And hey, Cali out.